We outside with a thing. We outside with a clip. Fuck, bang. We outside with a gang. We outside with a clip. Fuck, bang. We outside. Who am I outside with?
Well, you're outside with Tiffany Medicine.
And Dr. Santrisa Weldon.
All right, so they gonna be passing this mic around. Don't be looking at me crazy because one of my cords has shorted out. But the first question I'd like to part this thing off with is, how is your mental health?
Well, my mental health, I feel now, is great. Mental health is good. It's great. Yeah.
When you say your mental health is good and great, like break it down, because everybody say, when somebody say, how you doing? Like, I'm good, but really,
they're not. Yeah, so
you know what I mean?
I'm in a great space mentally, physically, and spiritually. So, like, some work has been done. A lot of work has been done.
A lot of work has been done.
Yeah, a lot of work has been done.
So let's talk about a time, when your mental wasn't great, right? How did you get yourself to a point where you had, great stability on your mental?
We just gonna dive in with while we're here. So I'm the author of this book called From Grief to Joy. And I wrote it. It's a motivational guide for mothers who have experienced pregnancy or infant loss, because I have experienced not once but twice infant loss. And so I continually be in a season of grief, but when I started my grief journey, it was unknown what it looked like for me, and it was rough. So I had to do some work. I went to counseling, I went to therapy, and it's what helped me on my grief journey to have a healthy grief journey.
Right. So, like, in your therapy sessions, like, how did that help you? Because, like, you could talk to your auntie, you could talk to your mom, or you could talk to your cousins, or any family member. They could probably get the same thing out. What is different about talking to a therapist?
Okay, so, of course, you can always talk to friends and family, but when you have somebody that has gone to school for this craft, they have a professional point of view. They come with it. And so when I went to the first part was we went to counseling. During that time, I was married, and we went to counseling after our first child died. The hospital gave us grief counseling up to a year for free. And I contemplated back and forth about even going, and I was like, hey, this is something I've never been through before. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this because I don't know what else to do. And immediately going to counseling, it gave me vocabulary and understanding of my feelings and my emotions, if that makes sense.
It kind of like made it broader, like you're not the only one going through this, right? But it's obvious that you probably know I'm not the only one going through it, and they probably just making it more simple for you, like for you to understand, like what is it that?
The biggest thing was just the vocabulary of naming. The biggest thing was the vocabulary, naming actual emotions, like being in denial, understanding what that meant. Anger is a part of grief. I didn't want to be angry, but I was. Giving myself the opportunity to feel all the things: sadness, loneliness, states of depression, all those things. That the actual just having the vocabulary, I had words to put on what I was doing and how I was feeling, if that makes sense.
No, that made total sense. Like, did they have any health condition terms for it, like the reason why it happened multiple times, or?
Okay, so in my pregnancies, I developed something called HELP syndrome. It's HELLP. It stands for hemolysis, elevated liver enzymes, and low blood platelets. Okay, that's a lot. So basically what is happening during pregnancy is it's like your blood platelets are attacking each other, and they're like breaking down, disappearing, and the blood is leaving your body. And so with that, the blood leaving your body, your organs will begin to shut down, right? There was blood and protein in my urine during the pregnancy. And so with that, if you've ever heard of a woman having preeclampsia, that's where her blood pressure gets high and things like that. And a lot of times they put the woman on bed rest. So HELLP syndrome is a more fatal form of that because the blood pressure is high and all the things, but organs are starting to shut down. And there's no cure. They don't know why it happens. They don't know if it's going to happen multiple times. But what basically was happening is they give you magnesium sulfate, certain medications to bring your blood pressure down so you don't have strokes and heart attacks and things like that. But because there's no cure, one part of it is no matter how far along you are, you have to deliver the baby. And it just depends on how far along you are. When my first delivery with Brielle, she was 27 weeks, right at 6 months. I had never heard of delivering a baby that early. And so I just remember the doctor telling me, like, hey, Miss Madison, your blood pressure's not going down. You're going to have the baby today. Okay, so I was in House and Medical. They rushed me to what is now Atrium Health Navicent, and that was like 11 o'clock in the morning. By 3 o'clock, I was in surgery. Boom, she was here. Brielle ultimately died of something called sepsis, a blood infection, because she was so small. She was born at 1 pound and 6 ounces. She couldn't fight off the infection, even with medication. Now, if there was a baby that was larger, a full-size term baby, they could fight it off. She didn't have an immune system, so she ended up passing because of that.
How many months was this?
She was 6 months. When she was born, she was 27 weeks. She was roughly under 2 pounds.
Yeah, that is early.
Yeah.
You know, like with you and your husband, like what's going through your mind, like as they're delivering a baby? Because like you say, 6 months is like 3 months ahead of the scheduled time that it's supposed to be for normal. You know, right? So what's going through y'all mind?
So it was absolutely just shocking when the doctor was like, hey, Miss Madison, you're delivering the baby today. I'm like, I think my mom, were you there that day? So they were there that night at the hospital, but my brother-in-law was there. My husband had just left. We were getting ready to settle into the hospital. Oh, you'll be on bed rest for a little bit. But all night they were taking blood from me, testing my blood, checking my levels and everything. And that morning she just came in and was like, hey, the ambulance is on its way. You're having the baby today. And all that. But the thing about it was, and I thank God for this, because I didn't know how sick I was. I heard what the doctor said. I heard what she said to me about having HELLP syndrome. I didn't know I was doing bad. I didn't know this was my first pregnancy. I know I didn't feel great, but I was very oblivious to how severe this was, how fatal this was. I didn't do research until after she passed about this. I didn't look up any kind of things in the hospital. I was really focused on what was happening to me in the moment, and then having a chance to visit and be with my baby during that time. Now, it was a roller coaster of emotions, being in the hospital. Brielle lived for 20 days. 20 days. Yeah, 20 days.
In the hospital, 20 days, or y'all took her home?
No, she had to be in a high-level neonatal unit in the NICU at the hospital, around-the-clock care. So we ended up having to stay to be close to her, staying at the Ronald McDonald House and just going over every day to be with her, talk with her, visit with her. It was actually an amazing experience, but just through it all, I'm just like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Like, is this really my life? Like, is this happening? Are we doing this? It was hard trying to be a mom but can't hold your baby, pumping milk and it's not coming, and it was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so for someone that, you know, that probably never been in that experience, like, this is your first baby, right?
Right.
So you growing an emotional attachment to the baby,
Already been there. For day
right?
one.
So it's like how was the baby interaction? Was it a normal interaction with the baby? Like they was moving and crying and
Okay, so this is all the time when I was pregnant, I could feel her moving inside. So when I first had her, I was still on medication, so I could not walk. Right, my husband, he could go in and be with the nurse and talk. I could talk to the nurses on the phone. He would send me pictures and videos of her. She was moving and very busy. I have some. If you ever get a chance to sit down and talk with me, I have some amazing stories that will make you laugh. I mean, it would take all day. I don't want to take all day, but these little people are. Have you ever just seen the babies online when they talk about these babies aren't they've been here before? You ever seen babies holding their hands and praising and worship? These little people were out here doing some things. I'm talking about. I would talk to her like regular people. She was in there being mischievous, pulling tubes out her mouth and yeah, she was active, blinking her eyes. I would talk to her. She would respond to me. And when I say she would respond to me, if my mother wasn't there, the stories I have to tell, you wouldn't believe me. So even though her time span here was short, it was absolutely amazing.
okay.
It was amazing.
That is wonderful. Like how was it? I know we get into it, so we might well get into it. How was that? Knowing that it's the time is closing to where you say the baby, it was 20 days before she ended up passing. How did you mentally deal with that after you grow this amazing emotional attachment to this baby?
So even when the doctor was telling us that her health was declining, I didn't want to believe it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what the doctor had to say. You're not finna sit here and tell me my baby's sick. The Lord's finna do something amazing and miraculous with this baby. Like, that was my brain the whole time. It was. I was in literally a state of denial of the reality that was happening. I really was. So we physically were not there when she died, and that was a blessing too. So because I was on a maternity leave, I had some paperwork I had to do back at my job. So I went to get that paperwork done. And because this was all emergency, it was not time. So I was supposed to have her in January. Brielle came in October. So you could tell the time span from that. So we were on our way back to the hospital, and we got a phone call from the nurses. Hey, Brielle's health is declining. We need you guys to get to the hospital as soon as possible. Okay, moving fast. A few minutes later, we're starting chest compressions. Her health is declining. Then they called us back, and we were just like, hey, just stop. Because they had been doing it for like 12 minutes, pumping her a little hard and stuff. And we just said stop, and we'll see you guys when we get there. So when we got to the hospital, they had unhooked her from everything, and they wrapped her up. They brought us in a room. And just for that moment, the doctor brought her and put her in my arms, and I was frozen because I was like, what am I supposed to do, right? And then it clicked. This is the time you spend with your baby, grieve, cry, whatever. And so all that stuff happened, but I just held her and looked at her, checked her little self out. I only got to hold her while she was alive for 5 minutes. Yeah, because she was in a special incubator. We couldn't hold her. It was mimicking the womb. So, a lot of moms were waiting for the kangaroo care where you get to hold the baby close to you because she was sick. And so I was blessed to have that time just to hold her that day for that moment, but I didn't hold her again until after she had passed.
See, yeah, when you talk about mental health, yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Not going through it once, but twice.
That's right, going through it once. So speaking on that, right? So going through it a second time, like, how did you prepare yourself this time? Was your stress levels higher, or was you like more understanding that it's a possibility due to the health conditions?
So, really, I'm gonna tell you when my mental health really took a toll. When when you get a diagnosis and a doctor tells you they don't know why it happens, they don't know if it'll ever happen again. I don't know why we do this. I know I did it. I blame myself. I blame myself for all the things. Why? I don't know. It must have been something I was doing, not doing, physically, health-wise, right? And after that, I operated out of guilt because something was my fault. I went hard, not saying this was wrong, but it was the way I was operating. I went hard. I went to this vegan lifestyle. I was following Dr. Sabi, all the things. Lost all this weight. And after that, boom, I got pregnant for the second time with my son Bryce, who's here. He's living. He's great. But even in that, it's supposed to be a joyous, wonderful time. Him being born without an issue made my guilt worse. So in my mind, I was like, yeah, it must have been something that I did that was my fault, right? But in this new healthy lifestyle, now I'm extra fertile, right? So Bryce was 9 months, and I found out I was pregnant with Braylon. I was like, oh, okay. But things happened again. So 2 things were happening. Even though I was still doing that vegan lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, I got gestational diabetes. Braylon was developing with a heart condition. And at 30 weeks, I went into HELLP syndrome with him. And so really and truly, Braylon was the one that I forgave myself for. I still was doing all the healthy things, but it still happened again. So I was able to recognize those feelings that I had with Brielle, that I didn't know I was sick. I was like, oh, I'm checking my blood pressure. Oh, I feel something's not feeling right. I remember this time. So I was a little bit more urgent with my care. When I went to the doctor, we'll be honest, it's a thing where Black women are not heard when they are having pains and all these things. So I was very adamant, hey, my name is Tiffany Madison. I'm 30 weeks. I've had HELLP syndrome before. I think I'm going into HELLP syndrome again. I was very adamant about telling, when I went to the emergency room, this is my issue. This is what I'm doing. This is what's happening. I need assistance. And they were, again, immediate in my care.
So getting into it, having Braylon, you say you was a little concerned, and then how did you overcome, like, you know, your concerns on, like, the pregnancy? Or did it take a little bit, you know?
It took a toll. Even when Bryce was born, he had to be in a low-level NICU. Mm-hmm. One issue I had was after Brielle was born, I was concerned about being able to hold my babies.
Right.
Either the day they were born or at least the day after. And so when Bryce was born, the doctors thought he had ingested, I can't think of the name of it, but when a child uses the restroom in your body, right, they want to make sure they didn't ingest that. So they thought he did because his breathing was off, but he was a screamer and
Babies
a hollerer.
They be using
that. They have bowel movements sometimes.
Why y'all pregnant?
Yes, in there. They call it the black stuff. I can't think of the medical term. It's a thing, but I can't think of the medical term right now. But it's a thing.
Your body, like,
the doctor cleans it out.
I'm saying, like, why you pregnant for 9 months? Like, it's doing that?
So they don't always do it. I think it kind of happens when it's almost time for him to be born.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't never know that.
So he, I don't know what happens if it's earlier. I don't know anything about that, but he had a bowel movement.
Right.
Inside, and so when I had a C-section, I always have to have C-sections.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did that, they saw it, so they were able to clean it out, but his breathing was off, so they were just trying to make sure that the baby did ingest it. So he had to go into a little low-level NICU, and I couldn't hold him. And I was having a fit.
These same emotions probably came back.
It was more than the same. It was like, I don't know else how to describe it, but it is a thing, and it's traumatizing when a mom can't hold their baby. It's traumatizing.
Right.
And so she'll get even attached to it because she came in. I'm sitting on the side of the bed, and she's happy because the baby's here. We got a baby, right? Mm-hmm. So she's coming in, and she's like, "You're excited?" And I just start crying. I just want to hold my baby. And she like...
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a thing. So when I was pregnant with Braylon, finding out he has this heart condition, uh, my whole issue was, am I going to be able to hold him
Right.
when I have him?
Right.
And the best part about it was Braylon, my third child, was the only child I got to hold the day after I had him. And not only did I get to hold him, I got to do things I didn't do with the other ones. I got to change his diaper. I got to feed him. He lived for 12 days. But when I tell you those 12 days were absolutely impactful, they were. I had the best times I could have possibly had with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's pay. Look. Now we got to give you a little action. Let's.
Oh, yes.
Hello. Right. Deep conversations here. Deep conversations.
Yes,
right.
yes.
So we back to the first question. Right. We can go all day about mental health. Right.
Right.
Because that was a big testament. So that is a big contributor to mental health. I'm messing up my words. So tell me, how is your mental health?
Right now, my mental health is great. I'm doing well. Like my sister said, doing the work, did the work.
Mm-hmm.
I went to counseling and therapy also. And also, I'm a creative. I'm an artist. I'm a hairstylist by trade.
Right.
But also, I'm a gospel recording artist. So getting things out, either on paper or your craft. So
Right.
I created a CD out of my next book venture. It's going to be about domestic violence. So the CD came from a domestic violence situation that I was in. But also I created a book and a journal about my breast cancer journey.
Okay.
So I went through that.
Show the books one at a time. Go ahead. And we're going to talk about your book too.
So this is my my first book, and this is about purpose and my pain. This is the book that came after the CD, and it's just talking about my breast cancer journey.
Okay.
And the second book is really a journal about for breast cancer patients or different people who read my book, if they want to jot down things in their own situations that they're going through, just basically another tool to get it out.
Day to day.
At the end of the day,
Okay.
yeah.
And the CD?
And the CD is the same title, Purpose and My Pain. So this is where everything comes from. Like I said, it came from a domestic violence situation, but this started all the purpose in my pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Purpose in my pain. Let's start there. Do you mind diving into that?
Purpose in my pain. I actually got the title. I went to a women's conference with my god sister. Shout out to Patrice Rump. And I went to her women's conference, and that was the title of that night. Purpose in my pain. I said, wow, I need that. I need to use that. So I found my purpose being so that other people can see God in me, and so that people can see God through me.
All right.
And me being an example of how I'm a living testimony and the things that God has brought me from and through.
So with this CD, is it a gospel or R&B CD?
It's gospel.
Okay.
It's gospel.
So, I mean, honestly, I never heard, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I never heard like a kind of domestic violence in a gospel way. How would you flip that into gospel?
So, one of the songs on there is about the pain that I went through during a domestic violence situation. And the title of the song is called God Help Me.
Okay.
Yes. So it just talk about the pain that I was going through, the pain that was in my body, mentally and physically at that time. And God basically coming through. When I say God was right on time, I called out the name of God.
Right.
God help me. God help us in the midst of my domestic violence situation. and God helped me get out of it.
Okay.
The front door was open, and I took it.
Okay. So now I see how you flipping it. I see how you flipping it. So honestly, like for someone that was in that situation, what is some first signs to tell you that maybe you're dealing with someone, that can be physically violent and mentally violent to your well-being? Like, what are some signs that you can like take from a guy if they're just meeting a guy and they can kind of like peep that out early?
Jealousy, anger,
Mm,
can't kind of control their emotions.
mm,
Um, it's just how they deal with trauma or different things that they're going through.
right.
They act out. They want to break things, throw things. In the beginning, it was all nice and good and rosy,
Right.
Cause
Love bomb.
yeah, they trying to show you all the good things,
Right.
They trying to show you the best side of them in the beginning. So you like, okay, this is a good person. And then all of a sudden, all hell break loose.
Mm.
My situation physically was only one time per se, but the emotional things
Yeah.
that start coming with it, trying to accuse you of cheating or like I said, being jealous behind you being around males or whoever.
Right.
It didn't matter. You spending too much time around this person or that person, and that's just my daily life.
Did you take some like some did you take responsibility for certain things because you felt like maybe he was right, or did you be like, nah, I'm not doing what you think I'm doing?
Oh no, I definitely wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't gonna take responsibility for nothing that I didn't do, but I do take responsibility in the fact that I was vulnerable when I met him, going through some other things, like she said, with her baby dying. I'm the auntie.
Right. So
that was my niece.
Right.
So at that particular point in time, I was going through my own health issues, being diagnosed with high blood pressure. So the stress of her going through that and me being the big sister, I was always taught that I should take care of my siblings,
Right.
And so a lot of things was going on with her that I wasn't privy to because I wasn't there at the time. But people would ask me, how's your sister doing? How's the baby doing? Oh, they good. And then I find out she dies and I'm working. I passed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had to pick me up off the floor.
You in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was getting calls telling me, you need to be strong for your sister. And I'm like, how I'm gonna be strong and I can't even right now handle it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm laid out on the floor, like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
When I see her? And then when I got to the hospital, she was amazing.
Good spirits.
Like, I couldn't understand, like, how am I breaking down like it's my child and she's not? So I had to get myself together.
Right.
Auntie had to get in check and was like, if she ain't lay it all out, cutting the food, you can't. So get it together. Yeah. So I was going through that at the time, and our parents being separated, getting ready to go through a divorce and stuff like that. So
it's a lot of things.
There was a lot of things going on. So I was
back.
very vulnerable at that time. And so, somebody coming in and showing you attention and they saying all the right things and doing all the right things. And, honestly, I told him up front, you ain't it.
Right.
I told him, what can you do for me?
Mm.
You need to get yourself together, because you can't even, I ain't trying to say I'm better than anybody or anything, but you got to at least come to the table with what I have. Or at least trying to,
was he financially stable?
No.
Mm.
No.
So he he showered you with, care and
Yeah,
and
care,
and that's how he got
love.
you
Yeah.
before he
Right.
showed.
So
any,
then he
okay.
started showing up and showing out.
Right.
Started doing all the things. Ended up getting, had a job, working more than one job, going to school, got cars, I should say, because he had one at the time. Had his own place, wasn't just, staying with family and all that different stuff. So, started showing up and showing out.
Okay. So now you gaining interest. How long into the relationship when you started, getting some domestic violence type energy from him?
It wasn't until after we was married.
So how long y'all was dating or in a
we
relationship?
dated for a year.
Okay.
I knew him 6 months prior to us even dating at all. And then we were engaged, and then by the time we was married, it was a full year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So after the marriage, was it like a full transform into another person, or this whole year he was turning into another person slowly but surely? How was that?
It was like after the marriage. So he started having grand mal seizures. And so some of his medication he was on, you could start seeing like the flip side of a person, like
Right.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde start coming out.
Right.
And so it wasn't until after the domestic violence event happened to where I went back and I started reading medication and stuff like that. And it started seeing and hearing things that weren't there. And aggressive behavior, things like that.
Okay. So with you being the wife and knowing that this guy that I met, he wasn't like this before, now he's acting like this probably due to the medication, right?
Right.
What are some things that you tried to do to help him get back on track? Like, what are some things you tried?
So when I started seeing the medication and I read it, I called the doctor. I'm like, at this point in time, the domestic violence had happened. And so I was like, okay, something ain't right. This ain't him. So let me go and talk to the doctor and see what's going on with my husband. I had put him out.
Right.
He was gone.
Right.
So it took about 2 to 3 weeks before I could see the medication and reading and trying to get doctors and stuff to help. And then, I should say, physically toward me, it was one time. But prior to the incident when I put him out, he said I was cheating on him and proceeds to check me. If you want to know what I mean, check my vagina.
Right. Right.
To see had I been with somebody or whatever, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then started accusing me with different people, and even to the point of me being with my own brother.
Right.
So we know you.
Yeah, the medication got to be going.
A little off.
Yeah.
Even to the point you talk about you seeing videos.
Right.
Of us together.
Man.
Right. So something really off.
How you taking this? Because like, are you like blaming him or are you blaming the medication?
Well, at first I was blaming him.
Right.
What you on? What you been smoking? What
Right.
you been doing? Cause this ain't happening.
Right.
And I'm looking at the video that he's physically showing me, and I'm like,
it ain't even what's going on.
How you think that's me?
Okay.
Like at all, and it's not. Like that ain't me or my brother.
That's a hard one though.
Right.
Because it's like, do we blame the person or the medication?
Right. So I didn't know until after the fact that I started trying to figure out what was going on. I saw the medication. So then So
you wouldn't even knowing that. I mean, you put them out not knowing this the medication.
Yeah, not knowing none of this.
Just like, okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
I can't be dealing with this. You done fought my brother now.
I got you.
My brother done beat you up. Like, you got to go. We're not doing this. You know what I'm saying? So then 3 weeks in, and like I said, I started seeing that medication. So I ended up letting him come back for like the 4th of July week, you know.
It's recent. This recent?
No,
Oh,
this has been actually 7 years.
7 years.
7
Jesus
years. This
Christ.
past weekend, July 5th,
Wow.
was 7 years. He's currently out of jail, out of prison.
Let these people know that medication so they won't get that.
I'm not really sure what it's called anymore.
Okay.
I just know it was for grand mal seizures.
Grand mal seizures.
It was 2 different types of medications that a person could be on, and it's for that, to stop the seizure medications. You're not allowed to drive. You're not allowed to work with heavy machinery or anything like that on it. It says it on the medication, but like I said, it's been 7 years, so I don't even remember what the name of it is. I'm quite sure I'll go find it now that you asked.
Man, well, I mean, that is that's a crazy situation.
Yeah.
So how did we end? Kind of wrap up, like, how did y'all kind of go part ways, you know?
He got arrested.
He got arrested.
I locked him up.
Oh.
You know, basically, long story short, the July 5th, 2017, he beat me, played Russian roulette with me. And in that moment, I asked God to help me, and I knew he needed help, so I asked God to help us. And at that moment, he stopped and opened the front door, and I took it. I ran down the street in my sleep clothes to my neighbor's house and called the police.
When we say Russian roulette, that's with a weapon, right?
Yes, with a gun.
Revolver?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, revolver, yeah.
Like a 9mm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Putting the bullets in and out, torturing me with it, putting it to my head, putting it to my mouth. Yeah.
Wow. How do you deal with that? Because that's not something you can easily deal with. Like, this is like life or death. Like, so what's going through your mind? Like, how did you stop this situation from, you know, transpiring? Like, what? Like, that's heavy right there.
Basically trying to find a way out. I kept creeping closer and closer to the front door. And even if he was, you know, hitting me or beating me, trying to plead with him, asking God to help out loud, going to saying I'm gonna call a counselor because we need help, you know, anything to kind of stall the situation. Yeah.
I mean, give some ladies some advice out there. It's a lot of women going through domestic violence. So in these type of situations, what's the best thing for them to do?
Basically to seek help. Number one, have confidence in yourself. Have a plan. Also to save some money.
Save some money.
Don't never ever have someone have control over you and finances to where you can't get out of a situation where, like, you're just a stay-at-home mom, so you don't have any income or anything or stability coming out for yourself.
So you depending on him.
Yeah, just depending on that person.
Right.
You know, it could go vice versa, man or woman. Domestic violence come in all shapes and forms, you know, so it's not just a man-woman thing. It could be woman, man,
right.
All of these things. So, you know, just not depending on somebody solely, to where you feel like you just have to have that person. Right. You know, that situation showed me a lot. I went through 129 hours of counseling. So much so that the people was like, Miss Weldon, ain't nothing else we can do for you.
Right.
You done all the things.
You
we
done
need
the work.
you in here running some of this sometimes.
You
know,
the work.
I need you to be a leader to help some other people. And so much that they said, you done graduated. So I graduated from therapy.
Right. Come on now. How does that affect your other, you know, relationship? You know, if you're trying to get back into another relationship, how did that affect you getting into another relationship, dealing with your old past relationship that was real?
Just trusting. You know, you have your walls up and different things that you go through in life. So your trust is not completely there sometimes. You kind of take some things that people say at face value.
Right.
You're not so trusting anymore. But it also taught me some discernment to not only just see what somebody's doing, but make sure they put actions and doing and words to it, all of them together, not just doing one or the other.
Man, yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So getting into this, are you going to write a book about the situation that happened? I know you wrote a book about your cancer, but are you going to write a book about,
Yes, I'm in the process right now of writing my second book. It'll be called Purpose in My Pain, My Domestic Violence Story.
Where can they get this album?
This album is on all streaming platforms right now. You can get it on Amazon, Google Play. You can get it right here on we should put I think we're gonna put a link in it in the comments with all the things of Dr. Weldon over here and what I'm doing in life. And so it's pretty much everywhere. It's been out since 2020.
Okay.
But because of my health and situation with breast cancer, I wasn't able to promote it with COVID and all that stuff. The pandemic going on.
Ain't no time like today. Older you, new to them.
Right. So I'm out here trying to do like my cousin over here and promote some things. So I got the CD, the book, the journal, and the second book and the journal will be coming out soon when I get a little time to rest a little bit.
Let's do it. So real quick, let's dive into this, right? You got a bald head.
Yes.
Why do you have a bald head? Explain to the people.
So it started off as alopecia. And alopecia is a medical term for baldness.
Right.
So I started off having those spots when I was like 28 years old. My hair just started thinning and stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm a hairstylist, so I was going to like hair shows and different things like that. And I taught a class at the Bronner Brothers show in 2019, and I had a weave in, and I came back and I was just sick of it. And this movie came out called Nappily Ever After. And
I never heard of
the
that.
girl in the movie was like, just got tired one day. She was drunk. I wasn't. But she was drunk in the middle of the night, and she took her hair down and she just shaved it off.
Right.
And I did the same thing. At 1:30 in the morning, my braids were like down to here, but my hair was thin and it was kind of thinning in the top. And I just said, you know what? I don't want to do this no more.
Right.
So I shaved it off with the braids in it.
Wow. Cause I seen you with hair. And then I didn't see you with hair.
Right.
Right. But it takes a lot of confidence to rock that look. So what type of confidence did you have to build in yourself to even rock the look in public and not care?
First, after I did it, I made a whole little text message group to my family and everything like that. I posed in front of the mirror. And I said, I'm going to wait till like 7 o'clock in the morning and then I'm going to send it to everybody because I didn't want to do it too early.
Too early, right.
And so I sent it out and I waited for the response. And I got, are you sick? Are you all right? What's wrong? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? And I was like, nothing. I just was tired. I didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And I know I got a pretty face, God bless me with that, my mama and my daddy.
Come on.
So they gave me a pretty face and a nice smile with these dimples. And so that helped with putting earrings on and different things like that. And just said, I'm just going to do it. So actually the week that I did it, it was a hair show weekend. It was the natural hair show weekend. And I went. And one of my coworkers saw me and he was like, Teresa, oh my God, like, I can't believe that. You cut your hair off.
You did it.
And he was like, when did you do this? And I was like, Thursday. He was like, Thursday? And I said, yeah, Thursday. He said, the day is Sunday.
Yeah.
You mean you did it Thursday? He was like, girl, you look like you've been rocking this forever. And I was like, thank you. So I just started doing it from there, you know, especially in the winter month. And the summer months, I wear a ball. In the winter, I put hair on, you know, do a wig or whatever, or a hat. But, you know, I just started doing that. So once I was diagnosed with breast cancer, you know, that wasn't a thing because I ain't had no hair no way. So, you know, they told me it was going to fall out. I was like, oh, well, I'm bald-headed.
Yeah.
But what I didn't think about was my eyebrows and my lashes
Yeah.
and the hair under my arms and everywhere else coming out.
It's just gone out of there.
You know, just gone. So I
Yeah.
made a joke with my mom. I was like, Mom, what if I just do like this one day and then hair just start falling on the floor? And she was like, girl, just cut it off. You'll be all right. And then it happened just like that.
Yeah, it just started falling.
I just did like this and hair was just
falling
everywhere.
Man,
I did like this to my eyebrows.
you should have did a video. That would have been.
I know, right? Some stuff I take, but other things, because I think I was on the phone at the time.
Right.
So I didn't realize
You just
what was
wiping
really
your eyes
going
or
on. I
something.
was doing like this, and then I'm like, oh my God, my hair is coming out.
Wow.
You know, they told me it would, but actually mine took longer than anybody else they've ever known. Mine took 6 weeks to come out versus 2 weeks.
Man.
Yeah, so.
Because I know I cut my hair and I got a lot of phone calls. You know, they thought I was depressed and stuff. Like, so
Right.
I wasn't depressed. My hair was like falling out because my dress was thinning on the roots. So I just
Right.
like, let me just cut it out. Because everywhere I go, I just kept finding them all around the house. I could get on the chair. I get
Right,
up. It's
right.
like, what's going on? You know what I
Right.
mean? So, I wasn't depressed then. Did you have any depression or something? Because people want to know.
Before I could say that, yeah, prior to, because I'm walking around looking like, I
it
tell everybody,
contribute
I was
to-
looking like George Jefferson. You
But
know,
they can't, you a hairstylist though. You can
yeah,
fix yourself
but
up.
it's still different. Like for you to be a hairstylist, yes, I can fix all the things.
Right.
You know, that's one of the things that brought confidence because I can fix it.
Right.
But it was depressing because here I am, and you know, you get comments like, you know, some people will say, how you gonna be out here being bald headed and you a hairstylist, and how somebody gonna trust you with their hair and you bald headed?
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
so it come out with different things,
but
you know,
but
like that.
but
Just
that-
because I choose to rock the style of being bald headed don't mean I don't know how to take care of it. You know,
Yeah.
and so when I found out I had breast cancer, people was like, I thought you wasn't sick. I wasn't. But now I am.
But now, see,
You know, so God prepared me for it. I just went through the motions of trying to do things like I had to deal with buying all new makeup because my skin was hyperallergenic now. So spending a lot of money on makeup and, you know, lashes, medication. I went through acne. I ain't never had acne like this before in my life. Like
Right.
to the point it was just
so you gotta
nasty.
take extra care of your
Yeah,
skin.
doing breast cancer, and it's certain things that you can and cannot do. You can't use essentials oils. Some of the you can't use a regular razor sometimes because of radiation therapy and different things like that. Like I said, the hair being bald didn't bother me. It's my eyelashes going on. I never going off. You know, I never wanted to look sick.
Right.
But when you don't have all those essential hair on your face and different
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, I look sick now, you know?
But you know, we add stuff. They add lashes to their
Right, you do, but you got to come to grips with that. Cause at
you know.
first, that thing was hard. I was like, man, my skin is ugly. I look like a little pimple-faced teenager where it was like nasty.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
glowing now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, now it took a little while, but you know, I got it together. I went to the doctor. I was like, look, we gotta fix this.
Some gotta go.
Something gotta happen. 'Cause it would look like it hurt. When I tell y'all, it was nasty. It was nasty.
But look, get into this though.
Yeah.
Breast cancer. How did you feel once you figured out you had breast cancer? Because one thing growing up, we all know about breast cancer awareness.
Right.
And I never understood what are they, get my words together. What are they trying to get us aware of breast cancer? Like, cause are we prevented? Cause we had the pink on. Like, what is the thing when they say breast cancer awareness? What do that mean? And then how did you feel when you found out you had it?
So breast cancer awareness is the month of October, and they want you to wear pink because typically breast cancer runs in women,
Right.
but they do have cases where it runs in men because we all have breast tissue.
Right.
So for me, this was my second, my second mammogram.
Right.
So when you turn 40, they tell you to go and get your breast checked. I didn't have a lump or anything like that, so I didn't feel anything. I went and did my first mammogram. It was all nice and clear. Went and did the second mammogram at 41, and they was like, oh, we see some things. And I was like, what y'all see? They said calcifications. I was like, what is that? It's just like little specks and dots. So we want you to come back for some more imaging. So I went back for more imaging. I'm still oblivious, not thinking nothing of it because number one, I had a breast reduction when I was 22 years old.
Wow.
So they told me that my chances of getting breast cancer were slim. So I'm sitting up here like, okay, ain't worried about it. I don't have a breast reduction. Most of my breast tissue been gone.
Right.
And ain't studying it. You know what I'm saying? So went in, and then they said, well, we need to do the more imaging. They did the more imaging, and like my sister says, you always have to be an advocate for yourself. So I learned some things from her, and so when they was trying to talk about it, I said, can I see it? And they said, yeah, come around to the computer on the other side, and we can show you what we're looking at. So they showed me the little dots and stuff that was on there, and it was like really small, actually the size of a tip of a pen. But they detected it, and they said, so we're going to let the doctor look at it, and then what will come next is we will have to do a biopsy if you have to do that. So they came back. I waited in the waiting room, and they said we're going to have to do a biopsy. So I scheduled that for the next couple of weeks after that, and they went in, and they used the same machine that they do the mammogram in. Basically, it's like a machine where they just put your breast in a machine. They flatten it like a pancake,
Right.
and
So they can
smash
see.
it and check it and all that. So this time they just took some different parts off, and it had like a drill and all that stuff in there. So I'm sitting up there awake, and they basically drilled a hole in my breast.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm standing up there doing all of that,
They gotta do this for all breast checks.
for biopsies. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. So I'm sitting there getting this done, wide awake, and I might be a little graphic, but blood dripping on the floor.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay.
Can you feel
but-
anything?
No, because they kind of numb you up and everything, but you woke. You ain't thinking about it. So much so, I went to the fair,
Yeah.
the Georgia State Fair, National Fair, yeah, at the time. On that same day after the biopsy, I left there and went to the fair and spent the rest of the day with an ice pack on my chest.
I was about to
That's
say,
how
how did you
oblivious
think-
that I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
really thinking
Ice pack.
that I had a procedure. My sister was like, "You had a whole surgery."
How you keeping this ice cold? Or
It's like a little bitty ice pack.
but they get a little hot after a while.
Yeah, it's just cold and it just wore off. And then it's like a big Band-Aid.
Right,
And
okay.
it's stuck there, and then you go stick it in the freezer. Like, really, I still have it in the freezer. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for,
Lord,
but hey,
you never
little
know.
kids and stuff like that. You never know what
You
happens.
never know.
So.
You never know. You never know.
So I'm sitting there walking around with that, and then a couple of days later they called me and it was like, Miss Weldon, we need you to come in. We need to talk to you about some stuff. I said, okay, I got a doctor's appointment, but I'll be there around about 11:30. Would that be okay? And they said, yeah, that's fine. So I told my family, I'm going in here and get these results, and I'll let y'all know whatever when I come out. And I went in and they sat me down and they said, you have breast cancer. Most devastating news of my life. So I done went through domestic violence.
Right.
And now you going to tell me I got breast cancer?
Right.
Like, how? You said there was slim chances. So these slim chances, I would be the one to get breast cancer on these slim chances.
Yeah. Did you get emotional?
Yes, I cried. I was devastated. Thank God it was COVID. I had a mask on my face so everybody couldn't see who I was.
Right.
At the time, I had a friend that worked at a hospital. I wanted him to come pick me up on his car and take me to my car. And it wasn't but like 20 feet away. That's how bad I was feeling. Like, I was devastated. Boo-hoo crying, trying to hide the tears, you know, trying to tell my family I couldn't call them, so I had to text them.
Right, because
on the phone.
Couldn't even get words.
Couldn't even get the words out, but they was rushing me to go get genetic testing and do all these different blood drawing and all that stuff, you know. So I ain't really have time to really think and tell them. But you know, I sat in the parking lot after I finally made it to the car and broke down and cried.
How is breast? Is it a painful thing or is it just something that you have?
That's kind of like a tricky question. So it's not painful like you think it is. For me, it wasn't. I had to have 2 different type of chemos, and one of the chemos made me sick on the first day. But talking to different people, they coached me through it, like eating hearty foods and things like that to kind of help soak up all the medication that you're going to be on. So I only got sick that one day. I started seeing stars, had to kind of was trying to vomit, diarrhea. I had basically an allergic reaction to the first medication. And so once that got out of my system, I got back on the machine. They told me that they had to slow it down. So after that, I just made sure I told all the nurses I have to get it slow. You know, you have to put it on a certain amount of time for my body to be receptive to it. And I just ate, like I said, hearty foods like bread, starches, different things like that to kind of help soak it up. Because at the time, I was trying to lose weight and be keto, you know, and you're not supposed to be, you know, eating all them starches and stuff like that. But,
now you got,
you know, now I got to reverse it
and go back
to doing all this stuff. And I'm like, ugh. You know, the doctor's like, oh, you're going to gain the weight. But it's okay. Right now, we need you to get through this. Right. And so the only other part that hurt maybe a little bit was with radiation, having the burns. Some of the stuff that they had to put on it was like it stung really bad, like putting you know, peroxide on a sore or something like that for a little while.
Right.
So I had like burns every 5 days after the treatment. So my chest area turned black and blue and peeled and stuff like that.
Do you lose your breast in breast cancer?
Not always.
Not always.
I had a lumpectomy. And what that is they just go in and get the cancer out and they remove some lymph nodes from under my arm. Now, there are other people out here that have mastectomies or double mastectomies where they have different types of breast cancer. Some of them where the cancer has spread all over. And so they choose to take them both off. Some people just have it in one area, but they don't want to deal with the next one. So they just get them both off at the same time. And then there are other women that choose to just rock with one breast and use, you know, what they call chiclets and put it in their bra and things like that. And then there's a procedure where you can get a reconstructive surgery where they can take the fat from your stomach and make breasts with it.
Right.
Or you could get implants.
Okay.
And there's so many different types of breast cancer that's out there. There's not like, there's rare that you can find 2 people or 3 people with the same type of breast cancer at the same time.
Whoa. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, when they do this breast cancer awareness thing, they need to kind of break it down. 'Cause
Right,
people just out
right.
here just wearing pink.
Right. And they don't really know why.
They don't know why.
Right.
You know, I've been doing it for years. Don't even know why.
Right.
What am I trying to be aware of with breast
Right,
cancer? Like,
right.
so you telling me that there's different variations of it and different types, and you don't have to lose your breast, and very informational. You know what I'm saying? So they that's it. Then the book, we're gonna give them too much because the book gonna give them what they need. Tell them once again.
Yes, it's called Purpose in My Pain, My Breast Cancer Story. I dive into all the things. I dive into doing egg retrievals and basically having to go through the process of in vitro and saving my eggs and chemo, radiation.
You got eggs saved up.
Huh?
You got eggs saved up?
Yes.
Okay.
I got 3 little eggs saved up.
That's clever.
I got slim chances, but hey,
That's clever.
God is a miracle worker. With them 3 eggs, just like he had them fish and them loaves.
You never know. We ain't gonna get into the Bible because you ain't gonna answer these questions right. So we
right.
We gonna do that. We gonna leave that alone, okay?
From a previous video, he throwing shade.
We gonna leave that alone, right? All right, let's get the mic to Tiff right quick. Let's try to get into this book once again. So show them the book.
Okay,
and
most definitely.
Let them know what you got going on with the book.
So the title of my book is called From Grief to Joy. It's a motivational guide for mothers who experience pregnancy or infant loss.
Okay. Now getting into a book, right? So normally when we see books, they go through a production company. How do a local person, because we local, how do one get a book made and copied and printed and all this thing? Give me some steps.
Okay, so for me, I'm in the midst of the pandemic. I have a spiritual mom who has a gift of prophecy, and I was going through a lot of that time. In a pandemic, going through a separation, a divorce, and she was just called. We talk on the phone, and she was speaking life into me, and she told me that God wanted me to write a book to help other grieving mothers.
Right.
And so she just said, just sit down and start writing. And so that's what I did. And I was like, Lord, I don't know.
What is
Lord,
going?
I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? And it just so happens, one of my Facebook friends, she had a coaching class that she started helping women in business. And one part of that was writing a book. So I joined the class, paid the fees, and she basically walked us through the steps on starting your first book. So I thought my first book was telling this whole pregnancy story, but she taught me how to become or to show people that I am an expert on my situation. I'm an expert on my grief. I'm an expert on losing my children. And so she taught me to just think about what are the things that you want people to know. So basically my book is really a how-to book. How do you go from grief back to joy? Or is grief is not, in that journey I've learned, grief is not absent of joy. So I went through the class and did all the things, but it was absolutely emotional.
Right.
Like I had to go back.
Yeah, you had to revisit.
I had to revisit some real painful and hard times to birth this thing.
Right.
And so, once you learn, you teach others. And so that's what I did for her, because your story has to be told. When it was a purpose in my pain, that's where the purpose comes from, is we're not here to live this life alone. Life is hard for everybody. Right. And so building relationships and teaching people and letting people know that you are not alone in this is the best thing, because you don't know how to get through this. This is hard.
Right.
We don't have a roadmap. Yeah, people write books, but
we need guide books. We need somebody to show us the way.
That's it.
So I won't experience what you experience, or if I do experience it, I know how to prevent certain things from happening.
Right. And then even if you haven't experienced it yourself, but you got women in your family, you have moms, sisters, whatever, and this is not just a woman's issue. losing children and breast cancer, but it kind of starts with us. So just being able to have that resource for somebody, because in grief, a lot of people don't know what to say. And they end up saying, it's a whole chapter in my book, the dumb stuff people say to people in grief.
Right.
And we don't want to be rude. We don't want to be unkind, inconsiderate with our words, right? And so, and I think teaching people how to navigate through grief, right? How can somebody tell you how to grieve when they're not even doing it properly themselves? So that's what some of those things that I tackle in this book, how to do that for the person in grief and for the person coming to someone in grief. You've got some rights and you need to know them.
So this is pretty much like versatile. So is it versatile for if I lost a father or a mother? Is it some of the same guidelines, or is it?
So people have purchased my book, and one of my friends, she did not experience pregnancy or infant loss, but she told me that reading your book helped me on my grief journey, losing her parents. So it really is a book to assist anybody that we all going through grief. That's a part of life. Death is a part of life, right? And we just want to do it the best we can, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Now, before I get you up out of this conversation, give me some dumb things. Well, they are trying to be, concerned about the situation, but what are some questions that someone may ask you that was considered dumb for somebody in grief?
So my therapist told me they're inconvenient or inconsiderate, inappropriate things, but I'm real dumb. So this is the thing, and I had to get educated for myself. Number one, I'm a young woman,
right,
who's lost a baby.
Come on.
Not everybody has experienced that, and you don't know what to say. So I learned that a lot of times people are saying to you what makes them feel better about your situation. So I got a lot of, oh, you're young, you can have some more.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a lot of that. You're young, you can have some more. Not understanding that, first of all, guys.
Are they saying it like,
It's just trying to make them feel better about my situation. I don't know how to say it. Like,
okay.
In their head, they had to feel better. Like, oh, she's young, she can have some more.
Dang.
Like, that's the end all be all. No, I wanted this baby. I wanted my baby.
You can't replace souls, you know what I mean?
Exactly. You can't replace it.
That was a living soul.
I've had on Mother's Day, I've had someone say to me, "Oh, you'll be a mother soon." What?
Whoa. Yeah, these are dumb things. I tried to help them out, and say maybe they was being concerned.
Oh, it goes on, and then it's a thing of okay.
Give me one more. I ain't gonna take all your dumb stuff, but just give me another one. I mean, just for the fun.
And this isn't just for me.
Okay,
this has been for multiple people.
Okay, give it to me.
When you're crying and you're upset, no matter the time frame, okay. Get over it. Are you not over that yet?
Wow.
Wait a minute. I've had friends come tell me, like, she's at work, she's crying. You're not over that yet? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's different.
Are you kidding me?
It's different because it's something that came out of you and you birthed it.
Okay, so let's I want to just help everybody.
Come on.
It's a death.
Right.
It doesn't matter. People have a prejudice of the time and the lifespan. I don't care if you had just found out you were pregnant and your baby growing inside was a couple of weeks old and you find out that you have lost a baby.
Right.
That's a death. That was a life that died. Is no more.
And you're a mother or a father.
All the things. So they need that time to grieve. And if you don't know what to say, search yourself first. If you don't know what to say, because I've been in that situation where I've experienced my cousin, they lost their baby. And I avoided them Because in my mind, there was nothing I could say
At the time.
to make them feel better about what has happened.
Right.
Right? So if you don't know what to say, or you feel you're going to say something weird or off-putting or just dumb, all you need to say to them is, I am so sorry for your loss. Let me know if there's anything you need from me. Even when you say that part, be ready for the anything.
Right.
Because it could literally be anything. If they're having a funeral, they might need you to bring over trash bags. They might need you to bring over toilet tissue, breakfast for the people coming in. You don't know. So when you say it, mean it. I am so sorry, because you are. You
Right,
are very
right.
sorry that this happened. Let me know if there's anything you need from me. But also, the person who is in grief, you have some rights. You have a right to tell people what it is that you need from them, so they don't assume. Because when people assume, sometimes they don't get it right, and then everybody's feeling some kind of way when, you know, and you don't want that either. Hey, I don't want to talk about your uncle. I don't want to talk about your cousin. I don't want to talk about your mama, sister, brother. I won't talk about my baby, or I won't talk about my dad today. Or you know what? I'm feeling kind of angry. I don't really need to be around people, but call me in a couple of hours.
Right.
Check on me. You have a right to tell people what it is you need from them. Oh. Yeah, you have a right to tell people what it is you need from them. And that's okay too. I had to tell people. I had to tell my mom. I love her dearly. Mm-hmm. But this is a journey that I had to do on my own. My mama still have all her children here.
Right.
And I had to realize too, my mom didn't want to see her baby cry. So the first thing she was trying to do was make the crying stop. Hey, you got to get over this. You got to get over this. And it was like, oh, the record stopped. Wait a minute, mama.
Not the right time.
I don't want to. No, I don't ever. Don't say that to me again.
Right. Not the
This
right
was
time.
my baby. I'm crying because it happened. It's not going to take all day. It won't be long. But I have to do this.
Yeah. Yep.
And then she was like, it's okay. Just cry. Just cry. Just cry. But I had to realize, too, some people don't know what to say. Older men at the church, right? They don't know what to say to a young mom that's lost her baby. So I got a lot of, it's okay. You young, you can have another baby. And I didn't lash out at them.
Because you understand.
Because I understood. But, honey,
Yeah.
every mama's not going to understand that.
Yeah,
Even
right.
to the point where I know the Lord knows best. I know the plans that he has for me is to have a future and to prosper. But a grieving mother does not want to hear in that moment that the Lord knows best, because what's going to translate from your mouth to her ears is it was best for my baby to die. Mm-hmm. You don't want that to translate.
Right.
So let's stay away from those things. All we're going to say, everybody, I am so sorry for your loss.
Come on.
Let me know if there is anything that you need from me. That's it.
That is it, and that is all. Come on now. Come on. Now, closing this thing out. Did I hit everything? Did I miss something? Do we need to address anything?
Our books are on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. We both have our books available. We both have journals available to pair with our books on Amazon and also on Barnes and Noble. So,
Speaking of Amazon, because we gonna talk about that in the commercial. Cause I got a commercial. So, but same. So, would you sell the experience on getting a book processed and putting it on Amazon, or would you just give the people free game on how they can get their book on these?
So we've talked about this. So she has been versed because she teaches classes and things about that.
Okay.
And once I taught her, she dug in and she even came back to teach me some stuff. So we can most definitely teach a class on how to get your book published as well. You know, this is a time where everybody needs to eat, so there probably will be a fee.
Okay. All right. Well.
But we can definitely do that. I'm going to tell you this. The experience that you'll gain and the product that you'll have afterward is absolutely priceless.
Okay. Well, we're going to close it out with this, right? So, for the people that don't know, for the people that do know, and for the people that's going to find out, this your commercial. Sell yourself to the people. Go.
Hey, my name is Tiffany Madison. I'm a grieving mother. Of course, I've gone through so many things, but what I want you to know is there is absolutely joy after a loss. This is an amazing book to share with some your friends and family and loved ones who experience that. And support. We're on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. We're having a book signing of that. Look, October the 12th. At 3 p.m., we're having a book signing. It's at the Ted Wright Park building, October 12th, 3 p.m. Please come out. If you know anybody who has experienced pregnancy or infant loss, no matter the time span, I think it's going to be an absolute blessing. And my sister is sharing her breast cancer story as well. So please come out and experience this time with us.
All right, Trace.
This is Dr. Weldon coming back at you. So my CD is on all streaming platforms. It's called Purpose in My Pain. You'll be able to find the remix version. This was my first time. So you'll see 2 different CDs. One has some instrumentals and the other one has the full amount on there. And like I said, that's on all streaming platforms. And you can find my book, Purpose in My Pain, and also my journal on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. Or you can purchase them at the event, October 12th at 3 p.m. Ted Wright Building at the park.
All right, and that's what we outside with. Gone.